And all right, let's talk about line art, color art, overlay, line art, color art, overlay, and underlay, and the different layers and how layers affect rigging. Now we've already just left off with painting the head, but here's the rest of the character. And notice, just like Flash, you're going to learn how to draw through your character and where things are going to connect, and that's really important to when you do your cleanup, to draw through things. Notice that I drew through the hat. Okay, and that's vitally important. Look at the drawing view, and I'm going to show you how rigging can greatly affect, or color can really affect your rigging process, and how all of these different items can affect how you're going to rig. Take a look at this hat, for example, and in the hat in the camera view, it seems pretty perfectly innocent that there's this whole hat, but what we want to do is we want to get the hat to go underneath the head. And instead of creating a whole new layer for that, which is what you would have to do in Flash to make a whole new element or a whole new layer, we can keep the same layer and just add a node effect. So let's go ahead and paint this hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more colors to my color palette for the hat. So I'm just going to call this one new color hat. And then I'm going to say L hat. And I can just say band, say L band, or say hat, L hat, say band. And I'm just hitting return and saying L band, and then let's say holes. All right, so I'm just going to arbitrarily pick some quick colors for the hat. Let's make it a blue hat. Why not? I don't know. Let's just go for something a little bit unusual here. Let's just make that the hat color. Okay, and it doesn't matter. Again, you can always adjust it after you're done. Let's say I'm gonna say Command C, then I'm gonna say paste color values, and I make it a little darker. All right, and let's saturate it. There we go. The band, we'll make this band, I don't know, a beigey color maybe. Saturate. All right, make it a little lighter. There you go. And say copy, paste color values. I copy and paste color values so that the line color comes from the same color group or RGB values um, as the fill color. So holes, just make it darker. I don't know, make it on the brown beige side. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to paint this real quick, and I'm going to go into my line art thing here. Or we can paint it in the color view. Why not? Or in the camera view. So let's just paint it here. So I'm going to say paint. I'm going to say hat or L hat. I don't know. This is going to be more convenient, but this is going to give some of it away of what I've done here. What I have done is basically said, okay, my line art is got to be this hat. And then on my underlay, I'm painting the inside of the hat, right? So one of the colors I forgot to add is hat inside. Let's say inside, right? And I can make that one just a lot darker. All right, so we'll say that. And so using all our layers, our hidden layers, I've said that the line art layer has got the hat here. So I'm going to say L hat. We're going to say repaint. We're going to repaint all of these colors here. There we go. The L band, right? And then the holes. We'll just say paint unpainted so that they're like this. I'll do this relatively fast and say hat. There's the color. Say paint unpainted. There we go. 1, 2, and the band. All right, and then I'm going to do to the hat inside. I'm going to say color, say L hat, and I'm going to say repaint, right? And I'm going to circle all. And these there are hotkeys for all of these, but I'm going back and forth to the well, kind of unsloppily. But here we go. So paint unpainted, or see paint unpainted. Let's say inside. Okay, so I'm kind of revealing my hand here about what I'm doing. So now I have basically the line art here and the underlay here. Notice that the camera does not discriminate But the drawing view, and the difference between the drawing view and the camera view, the drawing view is the truth teller. It tells you what these things are made up of. Okay, so how color affects your rigging process. If I select this object and I go to my node view and I hit the O key, and O is always great for helping you find what you've selected. So the O key helps you find things that are selected in your timeline and in your network. There it is, FM hat. So we now know that FM hat is composed in the drawing view of line art and underlay. Well, why don't we tell Harmony how to set this up using line art and underlay? So I'm going to say Command P to give it a peg, because we always add pegs for things that we are going to end up moving. I'm going to edit its rotational center point using the rotation tool and edit its center. Rotation tool is always the the tool you use to edit centers for objects. Now we want to get this hat underneath his head, and the way we do that is, here's his head, right? And that would have a peg as well, and I'm just going to hold Option to attach it. And then I'm going to say, okay, in my node library, I know that we have it as line art and underlay, so let's bring in a node called line art, right? And let's bring in another one called underlay. And I'm going to attach, with holding the Option key or Alt key, that to FM hat, and watch what happens. Boom, only the line art is shown. And that's exactly what it's designed to do. Move the hat, this is the object of the hat, and show me only the line art in the hat. Okay, but also I can draw another line from the hat to the underlay layer and say, hey, but what about the underlay part? Well, let's take the underlay part, put it behind the head, so the composites read left to right. And I forgot to paint his eyes. Isn't that funny? But I digress, it doesn't matter. And move it behind the head. The head's in the middle. This is in the back. This is in the front. So everything on a composite that's on the left side is generally, but not always, on top. But now you can see that the head and the hat, and here's the hat, is on top. And it floats and it moves around. And this is how you can use effects in your network or your node view and your painting, and where you paint things. So over and under, where you paint things with over, and what you put over and under things greatly matters. So if you think about this in terms of over and under, of things that need to be over, like collars and sleeves, if you put those things in the right order, and it doesn't matter, I could have put this underpiece in color art. As long as it was underneath line art, it would have been okay. And then correspondingly, if I put it in color art, I would have used a color art node. Okay, so this is how color and global color and where you color and all these different layers affects your rigging process. It's a wonderful thing. Always make sure that you paint the eyes. I forgot to do that. But it's a fantastic thing in how Harmony works without having to create unnecessary layers that you don't need. There are all these great hidden layers here, what we call hidden layers: overlay, line art, color art, and underlay. That's a fantastic thing, and they're used all the time. Alright guys, so that's line art, color art, and layers. And also, you also know about just generally all your layers that you need in your character, right, are all made arm, front, fishing pole. You'll separate things out into different elements in Harmony: the arm, the fishing pole, the body. This is just an example of a character that I did for other classes, where I would take the foot, and here I just have leg front and left front, but you would actually break it down to foot front, foot back. I usually say front and back versus left and right, because left and right can switch. And arm, you would separate out the hand, and you would make a series of multiple layers and layer this thing out, so that you would have just a bunch of layers and elements. Okay, so takeaways: if you want to separate things out into using these hidden layers, by all means do so, and you can use the nodes to do that. You can also read how you can parent things up, and the O key always helps you find what it is that you're looking for in any selection tool. If I select the hat, I can say, oh, there's the hat by hitting the O key. Alright guys, that is the tutorial on line art, color art, and overlay and underlay. That's just a brief one. If you have any questions about that one, just send me an email. Alright, thanks. Bye.